Hey
Yeah.
everybody, this is Mike Bruce with Life Starts with Food Health Coaching, and I am here with a guy that I've got to know pretty well over the last month, James Goran, and his wife. His wife Tony's not here today. She is the owner of PureWave Now and PureWave Energy Centers, and this is a really cool couple that Dr. Al Danenberg, a previous guest, has introduced me to, and I've had a lot of fun really diving into their brains over the last month, and
Yeah.
and James is it's been a lot. It's been really cool. James is a design engineer by trade for years, and a big time biomedical background.
That was pacemakers. I worked for a pacemaker engineering company making the first pacemakers of the world in the beginning.
And then
I was in the 80s though.
yeah. And then something that you designed, helped design, I think you told me you were the lead design on this team to create the first neurostim unit, which was a life changer for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, this is the first implantable external neural stimulator that blocked pain. We would get people into the operating room, put this thing up inside their spinal column and the dura, right up to the gateway of all the nerves, and you just flip a switch and pain gone. Yeah. But it never cures anything. It's stopping the communication in and out of the cells and the nerve cells and tissues.
Yeah.
But it gets people their lives back. They could run that for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening.
Yeah.
If you left it on for 4 or 5 hours, all those cells would die off. They're losing their electromagnetic waveform signals in and out of the cells. And it's still in use today worldwide.
Mm-hmm. But we've spoke on the phone with my brother who has one implanted for some serious pain that he has. And it's unfortunate that it's just, man, his is a serious circumstance there with some damage that he's had. But anyways, what we are talking about today is everybody that tunes into this knows that I have a hate relationship with EMFs, not even a love-hate. Right until I've always known about PEMFs for several years now, Pulsed Electromagnetic Frequencies, which that's just one word extra on EMF. So can you explain a little bit about what a PEMF device is and why it differs from regular non-native, non-natural electromagnetic frequencies?
Sure. So there's good EMFs and bad EMFs. And the reason is our bodies run on electromagnetic frequencies, that's EMFs. But our bodies run with packets of full waveform signals, just like when you cut a key out for a lock, and they're all different, specific for each part of the body. Each tissue type, every different cell type has its own communication waveform signal, and they're specific. It's just like fingerprints on your fingers. No two are alike. But from person to person, depending on what part of the body it is, we all have the same frequency signals, the same type of cells, same type of organs and tissues.
Yeah.
So the beauty of it is when you talk to one part of the body with those signals and you do it on another person and another one and another one, you can specifically hit that exact same spot on every person the same way. But PEMFs came out after the big run on PEMF. I call them copycats because they kind of copycat each other, but they all have their health benefits. When they came out, they were following along the very first full body PEMF system. This is Pulsed Electromagnetic Fields, PEMF. The first company was a group of scientists, and they're still out here, still active. And this is what my wife got into with her PureWave centers and PureWave Now energy products. The very first full body PEMF mat puts out full body waveform signals. It talks to all of those cells in the body all at once. Mm-hmm. And then you can also specifically target small areas with concentrated applicators. And I'll show them to you in a little bit.
Yeah.
All the standard PEMFs out there are basically muscle stimulators. They contract the muscle over and over and over with pulsing, bang, 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 bang. And they will increase circulation to some degree. But the thing is, and some of them have really figured out how to boost that up closer to the level of talking to the cells. But they don't talk to the cells. They're just pulsing one speed, one frequency. And I can show you the frequency waves. There's an engineering lab that my wife, Tony, has developed that dissects and analyzes all products out there, all PEMFs in the world. If she can get them, she brings them here, and then she runs them through her lab and finds out exactly what they've got. They're almost all extremely similar to each other, except her PureWave mat system. And this is a home system. But from there, she took the home system and started to provide it to doctors for their clinics. And for the last 5 years, she's only sold to basically to doctors and their practices. They run them on all of their patients. And the results are phenomenal. They're amazing.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because an EMF, from past guests, we know that EMFs can be pretty damaging to the cell. Something called the ion transport and other the calcium gated channels and a handful of different things. It's really amazing what people see go wrong, and they don't even know it's from EMFs. So I know
there it is. This is the culprit more than anything.
Yeah, right.
We've all become wireless in every aspect of our lives. EMF is static. I didn't get to the final part of your question previously. PEMFs are pulsed, very small pulsed electromagnetic fields of energy. All right. EMFs are static, disrupting fields, interfering fields. This is mostly coming from our power supply of running our homes and businesses, even our cars. They have huge EMF, and of course our cell phones. And they run in all different frequency bands. But the majority of our damaging PEMF is cell phone, wireless, and 60 hertz for the US and 50 hertz elsewhere in the world. Look at this. Hear it?
Yeah, I don't hear it, but I see the number spike.
All right. Yeah, they just go right up. Okay. So we can actually measure a person like this, and you want to be below 10 millivolts, and I am. I'm on 5, but I charge up my body every day, and that helps eliminate EMF from staying around our tissues and cells, resonating in them with static. And that's what my neural stim was. It was made with EMFs, just like the phone, with square waves, bang, 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 bang. And then we would completely block and disrupt and shut off communication in and out of the cells. So this was back in the 1980s that this was developed. When I saw these coming through, it began with wireless standard telephones. They were horrible. But most products around, even lights that I have in this podcast, they're banks of LED lights. Generally, LED is very low EMF, but there's so many of them. And then the power supply, the actual transformer that's running them, that's where we get the high EMF. And this does stick and stay staticky. It's like rubbing a balloon on your belly and your hair stands up. Yeah. That's EMF. And that does disrupt communication in and out of your cells and tissues.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the great things about, like, just as simple as knowing that your body's building up a static charge walking around all day. Just put your bare feet in the grass. But the PEMF mat helps with that as well, right?
It
I know you always cringe with the grounding because you know a lot about grounding. So.
Yeah, so walking in the grass doesn't work so great anymore like it used to, because most of our power lines everywhere, even through our neighborhoods, are buried now into the ground. Yeah. All communication going in and out of homes, all power, excuse me, going in and out of homes and businesses, huge EMF, even though those are insulated wires. So the only PEMF system in the world that knocks out EMF while you're lying on it or placing a mat or a pillow on part of your body or across it is this. It's the PureWave. That's their worldwide patent. And for the last 20 years, I haven't seen any other products out in the world come out with a system that absolutely knocks out the EMF. Yeah. Especially when you're pulsing full waveforms through there. They're very, very small. Like our brain talking to our body and to all the tissues, it's 1,000,000 times smaller than a millivolt in power or voltage. And instead of being electrical, you know, our bodies are, they say they run on electricity. We're all light and electricity beings. That's not totally true. We're actually like, instead of two-dimensional, just power and speed, we're electromagnetic. So we're actually like 3D, three-dimensional. And that's how our brain talks to all the different cells. When we show you these waveforms, they're electromagnetic, and we can only show the different components on an oscilloscope. But the thing is, you can see them. You can see what products are giving off too much EMF. You can walk around with one of these simple tri-field meters for EMF 60 hertz, and it'll show you. I can actually, let me show you this. So this is a PureWave concentrator pad, and you don't feel it. It's kind of like X-rays. You don't think anything's coming out of there, but 1,000,000 times smaller than a millivolt. Oh, by the way, here's for EMF. It's basically on 0, all right? It's all the way down. Good. Now, right here, let's see if I can get this to go. All right. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's what your brain sounds like with the with the waveforms going through. There's really, you have up to, say, a trillion different combinations of waveform signals all coming out. This is mimicking what the brain is sending to the body. And I haven't found any other system out there that does that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So why is this important? This actually does charge up energy in the cells, and that's their patent. And I haven't seen any product out there that has a patent showing that they turn on the ionic resonance, the ion pumps in cells. And when you lie down on the full body mat, all the cells are charging up. And why is that important, right? You want to know? Okay. Well, when I run around measuring people to see how much EMF they have on them, when I measure children, they're very, very high in energy. Very high energy in cells repels EMF. When you get up over 70 millivolts in your cellular energy, and that's measurable, EMF just lets go. It's like reverse magnets. It's not strong enough to stay around and be all over your tissues. When we run this, we're charging up the cells specifically in different areas, and we can target small areas. We have concentrators for teeth, knuckles, elbows, any kind of area that's got issues. But the thing is, you can target inward by tissue density and hit different parts of the body, anywhere in the body, based on a very simple protocol.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed being able to. You guys do lay it out pretty well with when you sign into the product portal. You lay it out pretty well, and so everybody knows I've had one of these for about a month now, and I've been using it every day. Well, almost every day. We actually gave it to a friend to help right after she had emergency surgery and had some severe pain, and this thing, I think in the very beginning, was a lifesaver for her because the pain was so severe, and it would knock out her pain for a handful of hours. So we just left it at our house for probably 3 or 4 days, and it was a godsend for her. And then her husband, who doesn't sleep well normally, he'd lay down on that mat and just be gone, just out.
Yeah. That's the biggest comment that we hear from people when they have their just one session they sleep really good that night for some reason. But I kind of know the reason. Biologically, you've cleaned out all of your cells. The big problem with wireless and EMF is that what they call our voltage gated calcium channels in the cell walls are slammed open. Mm-hmm. And I've got the studies. They're on the National Health Registry for the U.S. government publications for all medical publications. There's so many showing that cell phones specifically and Wi-Fi, and then all the other EMFs underneath that, they cause the cell walls to remain open on specific receptors. These are like tubes that lead in and out of the cell walls to allow product in and then waste out. And the problem is we're not supposed to bring in that much calcium into our cells. This is why for the last 20 years, everybody's been on this kick about, oh, I'm low in calcium, I have to boost my calcium. And they were taking calcium pills like crazy. Yeah. But that's just making it worse. The cells are sucking up all the calcium out of your blood. When you have a blood test, you'll probably be low in calcium. This will mitigate that situation. It puts all cells back into regulation when you charge up the energy back up and cause it what's called a calcium cascade, and that's one of their patents. And I haven't seen any PEMF out there that has any patents like this, because they're just pulsing away to try to squeeze the muscles, kind of like squeezing a sponge. Contracting muscles on and off, on and off. It'll get to microcapillaries that may not have had blood supply or blood running through into those tissue areas. And that is the problem of the dysfunction of that area.
And I'm going to show real fast. So I put up the PureWave Now website because I want people to be able to see right here. Let's see. There's a handful of under this portable PEMF body mat section. There's a handful of patents and things that you can click on, and it brings up, different explanations of the patents. I think it's
sure.
It's really interesting to see those. But not only that, just what a great explanation of how it works, the things that it does in your body, and then let me find some of the benefits. My goodness, I won't even read those out loud because it doesn't even seem real for some people. But I know my what I've seen over the last month with different people in the office and things that I've taken to the office, just with a couple people with knee pain. You know what? Before we get into some of the things we've seen happen, do you want to show the videos you have?
Yep, here we go.
Sure.
So this is my wife's office. She has a showroom office for doctors to fly in and train and learn how to run the PureWave Now systems, and bring them back to their facilities and implement them. They also provide home mats for either rental or purchase by their patients. And then we also have other energy systems. All the energy systems that my wife has in the PureWave office or clinic, they're all EMF free. They're all about being EMF free. It's the biggest culprit that we're faced, and people don't realize it. This is why over the last 10, 20 years, you see more and more everybody, even people in their 20s and 30s, they have achy pains and dysfunction and all kinds of problems. It really is drop in voltage and energy of the cells or organs or tissues. And well, I'll give you for instance. I know she doesn't use the C word, and she's just the national supplier and distributor solely for the USA and Canada for the products. But all of her products, they're amazing. They make people feel good, and she's not allowed to show or make claims or say that it heals people or cures anybody or cures any diseases, because she's just the FDA registrant for the US and the distributor to the doctors. Now, the doctors themselves, they can, report the different outcomes from all of their patients. So that's where we leave it there. That way, we're fully in regulation.
Yeah. Yeah. Things you're not
So
allowed
the website, yeah, so the website doesn't show much, but what the doctors know and what they, work with each other on is everything. It's they have targets from the research. They know that the brain runs in a certain amplitude window, and when you lower the window down, or the amplitude, just into like 10 layers or 10 intensity numbers, you get to different parts of the body in different depths, even though the power is so small. And then PEMFs out in the world thought, and people, worldwide think bigger is better and stronger is better. When you go over 40 microtesla, you cannot talk directly to a cell. They're only running up to 40 microteslas. That's it. And people are pounding away and hitting high energy. I mean, you might as well lick your fingers and stick them in an electrical socket. And some of them are really that strong, 24,000 volts, where the body is running at around 1 to 3 volts max. That's it. And that's what this runs on, of course.
And so, like we said, you're not allowed to say what benefits can be seen by this, but I think I am. And I do want people to know this is not like a sales thing. This is like, I just have always wanted to learn more about PEMFs, and Dr. Al Danenberg really just gave me the shove into learning more. And
yeah, you can talk about what effects you had on your body, and I can talk about the effects I had on my body. Sure. I was fully disabled 5 years ago. When I met my wife, I had one good year with her, and then I went downhill. I had my my grandmother's disease my whole life. It would come and go, worse and worse. But I had my good times for 2, 3, 4 years back in my 30s and 40s, and man, when I hit 50, it was over. And now I'm 63, and after meeting this woman that I married just 3 years ago, and I only met her 6 years ago. Yeah. She said, "James, I'm going to fix you. You're a bear, and you're nice. You're like Jekyll and Hyde because of the pain and all your problems. When you're not when you're on having a good day, you're wonderful. But if I can't fix you, I'm going to kick you to the curb." Yeah. And she meant it. So she worked on me like a guinea pig, like I was her lab subject, and we tried a lot of different things that first year. And finally, we got to this PureWave system and the electromagnetics that completely synthesize and copy what the brain is doing. And they only have their main function of cleaning out the cells with calcium, removing the EMF, and charging up the ion pumps. And they even have a write-up and a video from Harvard that shows the process of the ionic resonance. This was Harvard doing their own research back then and producing a very educated video. And we even have that available if we can show it, but we might not have time this time. Anyway, let's see what else we have. Let's throw something up, Rich.
Yeah, I love that. The thing you were playing earlier, the resonance, that's just fun to watch. I mean, it's like science nerd stuff right there. And let's see.
Yeah, when you have, the bodies run on sound, except that sound is two-dimensional. Sound is the frequency or notes. That's how you get music notes from low to high. And then you have intensity, how loud it is. That's the power and voltage. When you add magnetics to that, and you have the exact same range that people can hear, which is 0 to 10,000 hertz is what the body runs on. People can hear to maybe 12,000 hertz, but basically it's the same. That really is what our cells are running on. They're running on like full packets of music, like a whole composed symphony going.
So the video we're playing, explain what this device is.
Oh, sorry, what is that?
It's
oh, this is great. This explains, okay, our bodies are mostly water, and they really do vibrate. All of our cells are vibrating with music and frequency in 3D, electromagnetics. When you do different frequencies with just salt on a metal plate, watch what happens.
Oh, that's incredible.
This is how our cells open and close. This is my biomedical engineering background to understand. We can actually put that on an oscilloscope and with equipment and show the different keys, opening keys that will hit different receptors and make them resonate like this.
So
when they resonate at the right speed, some receptors will open and others won't.
Yeah.
So the technology behind PureWave and the technology scientists that discovered it, improved it, and patented it, they go for specific receptors or channels in the cells. They all have the same one to turn on ion pumps. They all have the same one to dump the excess calcium. And it is well known that if you have high energy, you are bright and you're happy and healthy, and you don't have your aches and pains. You don't have any issues when everything's running in high voltage. Look at how this is turning, right? So this system basically does that. It vibrates all of your body and all the different parts and charges up the energy, where regular PEMFs don't do that. They're like hit or miss, like a shotgun with a whole bunch of little pellets. Maybe some will hit and get it to, boing a little bit, but it's not. There's no communication or command signals being directly placed in there. And the main reason why PEMFs can't do that, except for this one, is that they have EMF. It's huge. I've measured other systems. I won't mention names. They're all the same. The EMF goes up 400, 600, 1,000, over 1,000 millivolts. It's like you're lying in a bath with cell phones taped to every part of your body when you're taking a session on them. And people love it. You want to know why?
Why is that?
They really do. They love to, it hurts so good. They love to feel the pain, but it's not really pain. When you have very high EMF going off, your dopamine level spikes as if you just took your first sip of a glass of Chardonnay wine, or you just took people who smoke cigarettes, when they take the first hit, that dopamine is a spike. That's addicting. And it only takes about 3 days to become addicted to such a high spiking dopamine level. And when you have those powerful PEMFs, the ones that are, where you sit in a chair, oh my God, it's huge. Within 3 days, man, you love it. And you'll want to do that every day. But even though it's giving you the muscle contraction and squeezing blood into circulatory areas that were, cut off or injured and didn't have good blood supply, you only see the effects of positive effects in the first, the first month or two. After that, it's pretty much over. There's not much else the body can do. It's already got the areas that were dried up or weren't getting good circulation. Oh, and by the way, why do we not have good circulation? Every time you talk on a phone, it's all over the internet, your blood clots, and it remains clotted for basically the whole day and the whole night, because we have EMF like this everywhere in our lives now. So everybody's got rouleaued or clotted blood. One of the patents on this is that by removing the EMF from the body and then charging it up, when you get over 70 millivolts, your blood separates. And there's a reason. It's not just the 70 millivolts. There's a timing, a spacing on off of the full bursts of what the brain is doing. And we see that right on an oscilloscope. And we've got video of that too.
Yeah,
so,
on that same page I showed earlier of your website, it's almost like sticky blood. Everything's all together. All the red blood cells are just bunched together. And you see after like a 10, 15-minute treatment, they start separating. And it's almost like a blood thinner. We shouldn't blood thinner.
And it'll stay separated for 8 to 12 hours because we've removed the EMF. We've then removed it from the body for 8 or 12 hours. You're clean and your blood is separated. But on the standard PEMFs, when they run a pulse train, they have learned that 20 millisecond break is what the brain runs on for the whole human race, and probably mammals and reptiles as well, because it works on animals too, and pets. Well, they patented the 20 millisecond discovery. So other PEMFs are running at 16 millisecond pulse off and then back on of pulse trains. And they still get the blood to separate, but only while they're running. None of them will show you the blood test after they run it, because within 15 minutes, you not only lied in a whole bunch of EMF during the whole session, but then you you've loaded up with EMF and your blood goes right back to being clotted and reload. Other companies, they run at 26 milliseconds. All right,
hey,
so
we have a video playing of you with the Amish, I think up here in either Ohio or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was Ohio.
On here.
Yep. So one of my friends grew up Amish, friend of the family, and she said, James, can you please come up and figure out and help, meet my family and my cousins and all of our friends and their families. They're all getting really, really sick, and we don't know why. And I think it's EMF, because they started selling off the farms in between the Amish farms. Amish people selling farms. That means regular people coming in and turning on electricity. So here, maybe I can show that video again. Yeah. It showed, I was floored. Mm-hmm. The EMF coming out of the power wires is huge because it doesn't stop and go down and across the street and back up again. There's no breaks. They run for 4 or 5 miles or even longer, all in one stream. And if anybody in that stream, like an entire farm, all of a sudden requires high electricity, the EMF is huge for the entire length of the wires. And I show it. It was pinning the needle. Their horses were sick. They couldn't pull the wagons. They were coming down with all kinds of diseases. And I've got some publications from NHI. It's NHI, and that's the National Health Institute. Institute of Health. So, and then also from some of the scientists, they showed specifically it's all of this. This is really what's causing different biological dysfunction and loss of voltage in the cells. Yeah. Oh, for instance, cancer. All right. Everybody knows what cancer is. I had it in my family. Cancer exists when a cell drops from its 80 or 70 millivolts all the way down from dysfunction or dysregulation or messed up genes or toxic intakes, our foods, everything, right? And radiation. It'll drop the voltage in the cell. When it drops to 25 millivolts and it hasn't died off, the kill mechanism was screwed up and it didn't shut off, it becomes cancer. That's a cancer cell, 25 millivolts and under. And yet it's alive. But now it goes into a loop program. It's just running every moment, doing one thing, spitting out a bioacid film to clog up the receptor holes, not allow oxygen atoms into the cell. They get clogged and blocked. And oxygen are the fuel tanks of energy for cells. This is what we absorb and use like fuel to turn on the mitochondria with the ion pumps. So when the receptors are clogged and no more oxygen's coming in, the voltage will drop all the way to 18 millivolts, even down to 15. And when that happens, it's fully anaerobic. It's alive and it's running with no fuel. Mm-hmm. And it remains alive. And it does get blood supply for its nutrients. And that's where you get tumors and all kinds of different types of cancer. But it's well known that if you can take your cancer cells and raise them up over 25 millivolts and increase the energy, well, then they become normal cells again. And this is what happens when people fight cancer and have different therapies and then beat it. And now they don't have cancer. Yeah. They've actually increased the energy in the damaged areas. Eventually they wear off and they die and go away. But the new ones have actually energized back up and become normal. So this is well known throughout the world.
Yeah. It's interesting the things that we as Americans just think are hogwash. And then every other country in the world is like, no, there's such things as energetic ley lines where you don't put your bed above an energetic ley line that naturally produces more EMF. You don't, you name it, they understand it because they look at the actual data and believe it. They believe facts.
Yeah, when you have EMF all over the body and all over your cells, you now have loss of communication and delivery of product and excretion of the wastes. When that happens, the voltage drops right down. Yeah, it gets lower. And when I run around measuring people, well, here's the thing. Children look young from all the way through, 1, 2 years old, all the way up to say 12 or 15 years old. They look young, and generally they don't have too many problems, most of them. And the reason is the energy is very high. They're running 70, 80, even 90 millivolts of power in all the different cells around their body. At that point, you have to understand every 3 months, we change almost all of our cells from the old ones that die off, and the new ones are repaired or replaced and replicated. So they're making very high energy, brand new cells over and over. Like they say, if you're talking for 1 hour, you can produce 1 billion new cells just in the 1 hour. But that's with recycling, not just replacement.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? Well, we start losing voltage and we start looking older, right? Like 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, right? And I think it's happening worse now than it was 40 years ago because of our environment and because of all the EMF around us.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: you've got voltage that's dropping, but yet you're replacing it with less and less voltage new replacements. Yeah. They're lower quality replacements. They don't do as good a job. They don't have as much energy to process what they used to process when you were young.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You can increase energy
and
keep it up high by doing this every day. And I've been doing it now, running 2 sessions a night in my bed. It runs automatically at 6 a.m. While I'm sleeping, it'll run for 20 minutes before I wake up. It has an auto clock. And at night, I like pushing the button. You just melt into the bed. Did you notice that when you run it at night?
Yeah, the first few nights, especially when my body really, when I hit the relaxed setting, it really just kind of pulled me in. But so I want to kind of round out what you were saying there about the body replacing itself. So, because it's such a neat thing to me. So when our energy in every single cell is very high, and a lot of people know the word mitochondria. You learn that in 8th grade biology and stuff. The mitochondria are where that energy is essentially, well, we won't say stored there, but that's where the energy is happening. If your mitochondria are really up, that's one way to keep your electric and your energy very high in each cell. And as those mitochondria start dipping and they start getting weaker and weaker, which happens with age and happens with disease, as that starts happening, the cell is, and this is just taking what you said and kind of rephrasing it, the cell is able to replicate new cells as good. So then you have an older cell that's now out there. And then
it'll replicate better cells. When you have a cell that's at, say, 50 millivolts because it's old or injured, like here, okay, I just dropped this to about 60 millivolts. Now I dropped it to about 50, right? Okay. When I charge up the energy in that area, just by turning on the ion pumps, I can get this to rise up to, say, 60 millivolts from the 50. And now I'm replicating new cells at a 60 millivolt level. Yeah. Next week, my cells will be at 60 millivolts because I keep doing it. And now I'll start replicating new cells even at 70 millivolts and then even higher, so that you actually go backwards. And looking at my driver's license from 10 years ago, and the fact that I just got up out of an electric scooter with intense pain and fibromatosis, plantar fibromatosis. I have fibroids going through my whole body. In one session, it was gone, but I had to keep doing it. It would last about a half a day or a whole day, and I would just do another session. And you only run 1 or 2 sessions a day, or maybe 3 in the beginning. But my God, at the end of a month, I stopped it and shut it off for a whole week to see, is it really fixed, or it does it only work when I keep running it? Well, your body really fixes. It's replacing better and better cells. That's the key. Voltage is, the amount of voltage in a cell is everything. It's the quality of your life, your sleep, your health, your digestion, how everything functions is all a matter of how much voltage is in the cells. And a lot of the PEMF companies know this, and they try to make claims that they do this, but they're haphazard. They're hit or miss, and they're providing EMF, which is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And yeah, so big takeaways for anybody. The thing to do right now, and this is a reoccurring theme for me, really reduce your EMF, because if you are, let's be honest, we're all vain. We all are creatures of vanity. We want to stay young as long as we can. And EMFs, cell phones next to your head all day long, it's aging you. Cell phones on your hip, being around tons of Wi-Fi. Turn your Wi-Fi off at night. Hardwired. Everything in our house is hardwired if we use it.
Mine too. Yeah, ours too.
We have Wi-Fi when we go outside, and we need to use our laptops outside. So, but
it
hardwire
helps.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because you're aging yourself faster good if you're not hardwired. And like I said, I'm 72 years old. I'm now. I'm in my mid.
Hey, I'm getting close, but
yeah,
I'm
right?
not. Yeah, I was so much worse off 10 years ago.
Even just a few years ago, you
do that one
younger than just a few years ago. So it's pretty incredible. So I want to talk about some of the things that I've seen on myself and on friends over the last month that I've had this. And oh, you got a video to show.
Yeah. This will show the waveforms of standard PEMFs versus the PureWave and the technology, which is the Quantron.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have audio for it, so you have to explain it some.
Oh, okay. So, gee, there's no audio on that one. That's okay. So let's see. Standard PEMFs are like pounding away at the cell with extra power. And hit or miss, some of them will charge up a little, but generally they're causing muscle contraction. And that most of them have that listed as their FDA approval, that they're allowed to temporarily increase circulation. Like on one of the systems, an MLM program, it's listed for healthy thigh muscles only, healthy, the big muscles in the legs only. And they, they'll get some good health changes when they first happen. But now right here, you can see the top waveform is bang, 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 bang. That's the standard PEMF out there in the world. And there's 1,000 different PEMFs. The bottom one looks like it's alive. That's like AI, artificial intelligence. It has little Fibonacci format on the bottom with the low frequencies, and then it goes higher and higher, and they cascade up and crisscross. That's like music. And they're always changing and creating the different combinations. So this is what comes out of the PureWave Now MAT system. And when it hits, just like the brain, all of them hit every cell in the body. But the cell will only respond to one of those combinations, and every one is different. When it responds, it's like, okay, I'll respond back. I need this, I need that. And this is how the brain will set up for delivery of product or to supply pulling out waste. And the cells themselves will resonate and open those channels and close those channels properly. They all know their job. They all have a specific function, every cell type, every tissue type, every organ. And all of our neurons and brain, everything runs on voltage.
Yeah. And so that's, I'm glad you brought up like cellular detox and things like that, because that's something that I noticed very heavily for me. It's interesting, like medications and stuff never used to affect me. You know, I was the guy that if they gave me something for pain, they better give me double. But as I healed my body, that totally changed. So I haven't taken any medication for years and years. I don't know what that would actually affect me on. But even with supplements, my body doesn't get affected by supplements. But some devices like this guy, the PureWave, actually, I went into a fairly decent detox for 2 weeks with this. And most people...
comfortable though, right? Fairly comfortable.
I was like, I had a little achy and stuff like that. But for me, I generally, I have the ability to detox very hard.
Yeah. Most people don't even feel a detox on this at all, but it's doing it every time you run it in a very mild way. Yeah.
So for me, there was two things happened. I had that detox going, but I also was running the relax mode longer than my body needed at night. So I was, I had a little disrupted sleep after the first few days. And then you corrected me on that, thankfully. And then with that, I did see quite a bit of detox, and you can imagine how I would know that in the bathroom. So Um, and then my wife, she has deep sleep problems. She does not get into deep sleep. And what we've kind of figured out is it's actually her brain's not going into the right brain wave. So in the last week, we started running her on one of these stronger settings during the day to get her in the right brain state during the day so that it resets into the correct one at night when she goes to bed. And she's never had, we have Aura rings. She's never had deep sleep over, maybe best night ever, sleeping 10 hours, an hour and a half, maybe. The last 3 to 4 days, she's been having like 2 hours of deep sleep, and she'll sleep deep until midnight, and then she's wide awake. Never deep sleep after that. She's very easily settled or woken.
Yeah,
she had deep sleep
changed
all the way up to 6 a.m. now, like throughout the night, like a normal person. And
this is it's the same effect on everybody, and we hear it all the time. I hear my wife talking to the doctors. They rave about that because your body only heals in a very intense way when it is in full parasympathetic, which is relaxed. Like when you have a terrible accident, you go into shock, like a car accident. And when you go into shock, your body is in parasympathetic and it's trying to do a very quick, intense repair. So when you have COVID now, people entering into the ICUs, they'll put them in induced comas, parasympathetic for a month if they have to. And this way they can keep repairing and repairing at a very high accelerated rate above the norm. This system does that to everybody every time they run a session. Yeah. And but you're not tired. You're energized, but like totally relaxed and chill. Yeah. Have you noticed that you can really chill?
I'm I actually am a little heavy on the parasympathetic side because I've worked the last 5 years I've worked at just reducing stress because I don't handle stress well. So I'm very good at staying parasympathetic most of the time. And for me, it's not changed a lot on that sense because it already happened so easily. But for my wife, it's helped out. I will say
it's pretty good because with clotted blood, that's irritating. It's like itchy all over the whole body. Having that irritation, it's very hard for anybody today to be parasympathetic at all. Night and day for months and years at a time. People have been sympathetic. They think warrior mode, fight or flight. And then this is where regular PEMFs, the pulsing ones, they irritate. They cause people to go into sympathetic mode unless they lower the Hertz pulse down, way down low. And then they think they've got people into this parasympathetic. But as soon as they turn it off, they had so much EMF, their blood clots up, they go right back to sympathetic warrior mode. You're never taking away my pulse magnetic system, never. And they're like that all day and night. And this is not healthy. This is where people are going down.
Yeah, and that's a rough one, right? So something that I've really, really enjoyed seeing with this is the pain reduction. All but 2 people that I've worked this on have had immediate pain reduction. Well, not immediate, but pain reduction 80 to 100% that lasts for several hours or like it just lasts. So I had one
anywhere in the body, right? Anywhere in the body and for any condition or reason. And we're not allowed to say what you just said, and we won't. But what we can say is that we see 80 to 100% relief of an issue anywhere on the body, inside or out, and we can target different depths. And we have a lady that comes into the office. She had knee surgery a handful of years ago, or maybe just a year ago. I can't remember. And her brain, this is the way I've hypothesized it, and you've kind of, when I asked you about it, you kind of agreed with me on this. So the brain is remembering the pain she had right after surgery. And for some reason, it doesn't reset to the new pain level, which is really non-existent a year later. So her pain is consistently pounding and pounding. The brain is sending the signal that she still has the pain. I put her on the mat for 24 minutes and she went to push to get up off the table. She's in her 40s, maybe 50. She went to push to get up off the table. And she decided not to and just stood right up. Yeah, they do. They pop right up. I've seen them.
2 weeks later, and over 2 weeks, I think, and she still has no pain. She goes, it's a little stiff now, but that's it. And
I can tell you the biological reason for that more than the placebo effect. You know, your body is always thinking and creating energy and running frequency thoughts and waveforms through the body, and it really does help heal your body. But that's not it. It's the nerves. Once a nerve loses voltage and it's dropped way down, just like on my neural stimulator, we would put EMF in and lower the voltage and block off communication. So once the nerve has low voltage, a lot of times they go into a firing mode and they can't shut off. Pain. Wow. It's like you're ringing the dinner bell and it never shuts off. And it can be a whole bunch of different nerves going all over the body, or just from an injured area around the spine or hip or sciatica, whatever. And they're just ringing and ringing and ringing. And even after you start healing the tissues in that area, you got to target the nerve. Because if you can charge up the nerve energy and get it back into regulation, it's like the brain's always doing a loop around to see what's going on and where levels are at and who needs what. When people get off of the clinic bed, which is a much stronger version of the PureWave home system, man, one session on that, and it'll last you 1 or 2 weeks.
Wow.
Instead of 1 day. And for what it does, and it's energetic, but it's spiritual, as well as you feel like you go away and you don't know how long you were gone for. And when you come back, it takes a little while to come back. It's really crazy. Well, when you do that, it's oh gosh, I'm remembering back when I took my last ride. I call it like taking a ride on a spaceship. I lost my whole train of thought because it's euphoric. It really is. But whatever problems I had, even like I'm not even aware of. Okay, my elbow, I banged it and it was hurting, and I went on the VEMI. It's called the VEMI. And I felt the tingling going up my arm and quivering like champagne bubbles on the spot that was hurting. And I didn't tell the machine that. It's just that it's like MRI, the way they designed it. It goes in at different slices, but MRI is only 6 different angles of slices. This is like a full sphere, and it's vectoring, it's angling all through the body and all around the cells. So it auto targets areas that are low in energy, and your body will start taking that on and charging up. It's amazing.
Yeah. And, your friend running the computer behind you had an image of 2 nerve cells speaking. And and that's really cool, because that reminds me of my dad. He has a little bit of drop foot neuropathy in his feet, and just 3 times of running this on him, and he started feeling a lot of warmth, a lot of tingling in his ankles. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to get him on there more often. But I would think with my dad, if we had him on there maybe 3 days, 3 times a day on the mat or on the pillow, I think he would have most of his nerve function back in that foot, and then continued use over a couple more weeks. I feel like just as fast as that worked to get tingling back. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Everything turns right back on when the voltage goes up to normal again, or even better than normal. That's what happens. It's just, it's phenomenal.
And my mom is, she's practically bionic. She's had every joint replaced just about, except for like one shoulder, and she does cake decorating. So she's leaning over cakes a lot. She's she's had wrist surgeries and everything else, carpal tunnel, all these things. And I had that running on her the one day, just on her back, because it was bugging her a little bit. And the next day she's talking to me. She goes, "You know what, Mike? I was making cakes for like 4 hours, decorating cakes, leaning over, decorating cakes." She goes, "I normally would be in pain for 2 days from that." She goes, "I woke up, I was fine." When people get off the VEMI or even the home system, when they're in the clinic here, for training, doctors will come in and train. Well, they run it on themselves and their family and their kids and children and dogs. When they get up and they say, well, it's weird. It's like, I feel like half of the condition or the disruption or issue, that's the word I can use legally, about half of it seems like it's gone, but I'm not sure. It's like the brain doesn't want to register, right? So my wife will tell them all, you got to walk out about 10 feet out and 10 feet back, and the brain will do 1 loop around. When it does that, bam,
It's like it just shuts off. And people just can't even imagine that after, 10 or 20 or even 40 years of this horrible issue that they had, it just goes. But the thing is, it's not a Band-Aid. For the next 8 to 12 hours, your blood circulation is beautifully single-celled. And it's the only product I found out there in the testing labs. Research Rich, I get to go in there and watch him. It's nice.
Yeah.
You can see everything. This technology is so good today. Everything is revealed, and all claims out there, if they don't have science behind them, like this system does, the PureWave now, you can't say it's real. And when they test them in the lab, they usually dispute a lot of it. So they try to make claims for what other products do, and that's not true. Like even on the Dr. Oz show, this was the system that was on the Dr. Oz show 11 years ago. Yet I've seen over 20 or 30 PEMF companies out there putting it on their website, making believe it's theirs and that theirs was up there and that theirs will do all those things that he said. Oh, and by the way, he's not allowed to say that anymore. And he hasn't ever since, has he? So, it's, this is a thing for doctors. And my wife knew that. She was in the health field for a long, long time. And all of her colleagues, when she showed them what she had, they said, this has to go through all the doctors, and they have to be the ones to show, prove, test, and deliver it all. And that's what she's done now for 5 years.
So 2 more things that I want to mention that has changed on me as well. So I always have a weird tell whenever I have a food allergy or something like that. I have a weird tell my body does. It used to be
you're sensitive,
stuffy,
know it.
But what's happened to me recently is now the inside of my nose gets very sore. Like it feels like there's pimples in there, or there's cold sores. Very painful. I can't touch it. I can't do anything. I've had that for 9 months now, trying all different things. The only thing that works for me is going pure carnivore, nothing else. As of like 5 days ago, that is gone. I am randomly eating some other things that I normally wouldn't be able to. So I'm still having some gut issues, but I no longer have this where it's just hurting on the inside, that soft tissue. So my only thought is that it's my leaky gut and the different things that I've been trying to heal for a year now are starting to correct. So
going down. Because leaky gut is the epithelial cell walls, and then the lining of the stomach and intestines. Those can specifically be targeted, and your brain, it always knows where the problems are. It has a priority list. It's always working on those areas, but they have low energy. They just keep making crummy cells to replace them, crummier and crummier, lower and lower voltage and lower quality production cells as you're moving forward. But if you keep energizing them, they start making high quality cells. So targeting for that, you do a number 2 that would target that tissue density. And a number 1,
So what's funny is number 7.
And it's from 1 to 10
as well for the organs. And I'm not sure why that. I'm muscle testing, so I'm not doing the specific.
You're amazing at it. Well, you've told me just in the last few weeks about how you really. You find out things by doing your muscle testing, because you can feel the energy of a person and yourself when you're doing that. And people are getting more aware. They're getting acclimated to utilizing what they feel, and that it's real. You're feeling the electromagnetic energy. And when you do something and you talk about it, your body talks to that spot, and then you feel how that quivered or how it responded. See what I mean? That's your muscle testing, and it's real. It can be measured on diagnostic equipment. Research Rich. Rich is the chief science officer for Tony for her PureWave now. He's got all this equipment. My God, he blows us away every week. He's got something new in the hopper, and he's check this out, and you can see it. I mean, and you can measure the body. Oh, the little pendants. Well, this is a special one, but this one's perpetual energy. It doesn't need any fuel, and the protons in the atoms that are spinning around.
About that afterwards.
Stuff like this generally don't work, but when you put little holes in them, and whatever else they figured out about it, you really can measure the biofield when you go into an EMF area. Like I went under emergency lights in my wife's office, and you can measure high EMF. When we didn't have it on, everybody was high, you know, like this, right? And then we put the pendant on, and I did it to me too. Son of a gun, it really went down a little bit. It helps. It smooths out the energy field coming off all your cells in your body, and you can measure it even with something so simple. But Rich measures it with wild equipment, documents, screenshots, the waveforms, everything. Yeah.
The one you have on your chest, because as soon as you pull out a pendant, people are like, "Oh no, that guy."
What is it? What is it? Yes, it's called the ARK, A-R-K. For the last, I don't know, 13 or 15 years, there was nothing about how it worked or what it was. But the scientist working in black holes with Rich, he made a lot of patents and discoveries and measuring energy inside the black holes, even from Earth in Hawaii. And he also found that he could take like a space. So it's a vacuum, but it has plasma in it, and then encapsulate it in a crystal of quartz. And when he does that and then places it in front of his machine, he can get the protons to start up and spin. So it's like a motor, right? Yeah. And energy. And then when it's when they're all spinning, they never shut off. They're always energized and running like a motor. So he's not allowed. So anyway, a month or two ago, he finally showed, I guess he was allowed to release the info onto a website, show his patents and what it's doing, and this is what it is. And what does it do? Well, he's only allowed to show what it does to plants and food. So he showed his tomato experiment. He picked them and had them sitting in a petri dish for either 6 or 9 months. And they were at the end of the 6 or 9 months, whatever it was. I think he's got it right on the website. They looked like brand new and tasted like brand new. And they were just sitting there in the lab I think Rich saw them, I don't know, for like 2 years. And you can just eat them. They don't go bad, because the energy is always keeping these cells high. So, if you're interested in this, you just call into PureWave, talk to Tony. And I know it's like a private thing, kind of, but she'll, you know, whatever anybody needs, Tony's always available. And you just call the number at PureWave. It's right on the website.
I'm throwing it on the screen now, the PureWave number and email address. We just hit an hour. I hate to keep going too long. This is always a lot of fun getting to talk with you, and it's a lot of fun to share all that you guys know. Guys, I hope this didn't sound salesy. The whole goal of this was to just explain PEMFs, but I just happened to get the one that I really, really think is probably the best or one of the best out there, based on just all that I've learned over the last month about this. So, and the people that I trust that feel this is just the best of the best, which is why I had James on to explain it. So
yeah, and I'm a retired biomedical engineer. I've been retired since I became disabled 6 years ago, and even then, you know, it's not about sales. I just want people to really know about EMF. That's my big thing. So I'm going to set up the buzzman.com, and I'm going to start showing people how to run around and measure their house and measure themselves and understand where you shouldn't set up your kitchen table, where you should not be sitting for any period of time. I've got videos on all that, and I've got to put them all up on that and in a Facebook. And I'm just about ready. I've got it all laid out, and it'll be a little while, but I want to help people. That's it. That's the bottom line. People can be healthy. I mean, I know I've been all the way down in the trenches and popped out within 1 day, which was crazy. But that's what this thing does. And I've seen it do it for all of our friends and family and all of my wife's colleagues. I mean, they call night and day from all over the world, and all she does is work with the doctors.
Yep. That's really cool. And so guys, I'm going to throw up the website real fast again. So if you guys are looking to just learn more about PEMFs, there's just great information on the website. If you are in the Boynton Beach area in Florida, that's where the Pulse Wave Center is. And you can use I mean, they have 4 or 5.
PureWave Center.
What's that?
PureWave Energy Center.
Oh, I am so sorry. That's
Yeah,
really
but it's
another company.
yeah,
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 good job, Mike.
yeah, yeah.
PureWave Center in Boynton Beach. As I have your website right up in front of me, so
Sure, it's
that's
fine.
a blunder, huh? And
Yeah,
then,
but she realize she doesn't really set up here to do public treatments. It's not a spa. It's not a facility to come in and take sessions necessarily, unless it's just friends, family, some local people that she loves, and but basically all are welcomed one way or another.
Yeah. And I have my device for another few days, and Dr. Ted's going to have it for a couple weeks. So if you guys are in my area or near Dr. Ted, reach out so that we can get it for you, or get you to just give it a little session, give it a try, and see what you think of it. Pain. I mean, the pain reduction is just incredible. So. Yeah. So with that,
you'll repair a lot. 8 or 12 hours, your body repairs like crazy. It's amazing that it can repair so much, and no one's ever really realized that until they do this.
Yeah, it really is. Our bodies are incredible. Just your stomach lining, just from fasting, can replace itself in a matter of like 48, 72 hours, almost completely replace itself. So it's a really cool thing. So. With that,
yeah, but you want it to replace with higher energy cells, make them better, not worse.
Really makes a difference. So, so I guess with that, you have any last thing to say there?
No, we've had a lot of fun. This is great, and I hope we help a lot of people. That's it.
And tell Research Rick thanks for throwing up the videos and stuff throughout this, and for manning the back end on your side. That's really fun to have all this stuff showing up. I'm used to it being on my side, so. So that's really cool. So, all right, with that, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. If you have questions for me, let me know. If you have a question for James or Tony, you can go to the numbers that we had on screen earlier or in the description below. So thanks so much, everybody, and have a good one.
All right. Thank you, everybody.